Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Around the Halo. I am Bearded McMagic with Little Flower Media. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining us this evening. We've got a fun episode in front of you for episode, I want to say this is episode 10 of season 2. At least that's what it feels like, at least deep down in my soul. And we're gonna go around the Halo and introduce you to our contestants. Jonathan Blevins, how are you, my friend?
I do not go by Jonathan Blevins anymore.
Oh, sorry. What do you want to switch to?
Wizard Blevins, thank you.
Did you go Hufflepuff or?
I'm Team Hufflepuff. I've bought into the Sorting Hat.
Nice.
I even filled it all out today, and I was gonna change to Hufflepuff if it didn't give it to me, but it did because I'm a natural Hufflepuff.
Yeah, I think you have that going, and we'll probably have to get you a scarf for your birthday.
Thank you. I'm in.
Just a heads up, everybody. I know we were supposed to stream a little bit earlier than this, but Jonathan's entire family is sick, unfortunately. So if he bolts off stream and never comes back, just know that it is for the best reason possible.
Yeah, they're dropping like flies,
well, I'm
man.
sorry to hear that, brother, but you do what you got to do, and if you make it all the way through the show, I'll give you an extra bonus point that doesn't matter. And we have Darnell from UST Max Studios. Thank you for joining us, Darnell.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
For those that didn't know, Darnell is the creative director at Max Studios UST, and the only other person in his department is out on maternity leave, so he is a one-man show, keeping the college up and running all by himself. There may or may not be a president. It doesn't really matter. It's all Darnell. So in case anybody wants to check out University of St. Thomas, Houston, it's a one-man show over there.
He's a Manchurian candidate, our president.
That's right.
We activate him every day just in case.
You are the puppet master. And of course, we have Joel Stepanek at Chasing Humility. How are you doing? You have been getting up early to get your creative time, I learned today, at the 5 a.m. hour. Does that mean by the time we get to the show, you're in full zombie mode?
No, it means I'm in full hype mode. I'm here.
Pure adrenaline?
Because the thing is, I don't sleep great lately anyway, in restless dreams. Usually I'm walking alone. But it's good to talk with you again here in this stream.
Yeah, it's
hey,
as
Joel,
per usual, great to have you.
When do you get to pump your iron?
So check this out.
Like a man.
I switched up my workout routine where I typically was a morning workout guy and was a big proponent of that. Now I've been doing the noon workout where I take an hour and a half break in the middle of my day. So I work from 5 to 6:30, 6:30, get the kids ready. I'm working from 8 to 11:30 again. And then I've got an hour and a half block where I work out, I get lunch. I am so fresh the rest of the day. Like I have better mental clarity in the afternoon. So now I'm on the big, if you can make a noon workout work, like a midday workout, I'm all in on that. Nice. That's why I'm so fresh as a daisy right now.
Yeah.
Although I don't shower always, so
I'm sure your coworkers appreciate that sometimes.
I work remotely, so it don't matter.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Well, we are also going to welcome our new guest for the first time on the show, Father Victor. We were actually talking about it earlier, and he and I do the 2 a.m. workout, which is where you have a night terror, and then you're so motivated that you're just like, I better do some push-ups, and then you try to go back to sleep later immediately. Isn't that true, Father Victor?
Yeah, I do more of like the running around cardio workout at 2 a.m. and then just hop back into bed.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. So tell us a little about yourself. Give us a quick 30-second synopsis on who you are and all the decisions you made in life that led you to this moment.
Yeah, I'm an old man who's never been on Twitch before. This is my first time, so super intimidated. But thank you. Yeah, I'm a priest in St. Pete, Florida. Been a priest for about 11 years now, and I just ended up here because God loves me and is very, very patient with me, even though I'm, not always the best at being who He created me to be.
I think we can
Legend.
And immediately Thomas is like, Boomer. Welcome to Twitch, Boomer. And then he put Father in. I'm like, who's gonna do it first?
Boomer,
I was
Father.
like, I didn't hear a word you said because all I was doing was watching the chat to see who would drop Boomer in first, and it didn't disappoint.
Incredible.
Yeah, that is
I tried following the chat. I can't do both.
It works. You can put it in slow mode if it helps. You can pop it out, make it your own screen. All kinds of advanced tactics. Chasing Humility is killing it tonight. Has a couple of there's only Zool, and now my wife does cry around my body, so it makes sense. You guys are so funny in chat, and you probably don't get enough credit. So
Thank you.
here we are recognizing all of you. Okay, so we're going to get started. Here's how this works. If it's your first time joining us, we do have a sort of little game show element going on with Around the Halo. We're going to throw out some topics. We're going to go around the Halo, and everybody's going to get an opportunity to give us their spicy hot takes or super down-to-earth takes, depending on how they may...
Spicy meatball.
Yeah, depending on how they may shake out. And then I'm going to award points that don't matter. Typically Joel wins a lot because he panders directly to me, and you got to appreciate the guy's, competitive nature in which he's willing to compromise his own personal beliefs to try and get 40-something TV reality show host to give him fake points. So
I'm not selling out McClure. I'm buying in.
Congratulations.
Rip thinks
Thank
that
you.
the chat.
That's the first one.
So chat should get points. We'll set that up for season 3. I think that's a great idea. I think we should have a closing episode in which chat scores points collectively against the rest of the contestants. I will set that up. Great idea. Okay, so we're going to start off with our first topic tonight. And again, as we go through these, we'll go all the way around and everybody will get an opportunity. But if there's some, vibrant, healthy discussion, that's okay too. And chat, keep the communication going. It's always more fun. All right, so starting off, 99 Luftballoons. This past week, citizens across the United States were rattled as they looked to the sky. A large balloon floated across the United States. This was no balloon boy hoax. Shout out to you millennials. But it was allegedly a Chinese spy balloon. Beijing issues several seemingly contradictory statements about the balloon before the United States shot it down over the Atlantic Ocean, prompting Chinese officials to condemn the move as a violation of international law, which is even more interesting that they first denied it and then took credit and then denied it again. So, Jonathan, here's where we're going to start. People lose balloons at birthday parties all the time. Do you think this was an accident or an intentional security breach?
It was absolutely intentional, and I think it'd be crazy to think that it wasn't intentional. I like to just picture like if Joe Biden. This is your moment, bro. This has to be the coolest part of being a president. There's a Chinese spy balloon. Nobody's flying it. It's just on its own. That's your time to be like, get to the chopper. We're gonna get it down. We're gonna
blow
get
something
it.
up.
Just go. It'd be so fun. Like that has to be just the most non-controversial. The whole country would have been like, yeah, go Biden, which hasn't ever happened to any president in the last 14 years or 16 years. Here's the crazy thing I learned. This is actually the 5th time in recent years that this has happened. 3 times during Trump's presidency and another time earlier in Biden's administration. That's crazy. And why didn't we hear about it then? Why are we hearing about it now? I don't know, because the media is the worst. But here's what I do know. We need a special military unit dedicated simply to taking these things down around the world. China has to stop spying. It's kind of crazy. It's actually kind of bad. But I also am going to continue using TikTok.
That's well said. Do you have a proposed name for this new branch of the military that should be just shooting down balloons?
I do, actually. Helium Team 6.
That was wonderful, and I'm clipping it.
Thank you.
Darnell, is this the point at which we just need to accept that we are already in World War III, but no one wants to talk about it?
I think so. I think we're finally catching up to that Marvel timeline. We know that we're in phase 5 and that Secret Wars is a thing that's about to happen. And I feel like we've been living in that reality since like 2001. Everybody's on edge. Everybody's kind of like wondering what's going on. And this war is happening behind our backs, right? This war is happening under our noses. It's not a physical fighting that we're used to seeing. Like, yes, that's still happening, but it's a proxy war, man. People are fighting on the internet. People are breaking down firewalls. People are doing all sorts of other stuff. We are at war with Russia and with China. We just refuse to believe it ourselves. But like that is what's happening. That's what's happening. So whether we want to believe it or not, it's there. World War III is happening. Will we be the champ? I don't know. I'd like that hat back to back World War champs. We'd be like the Chicago Bulls again. But like, will it happen? We'll see.
That's
Darnell,
incredible. I want the hat. The going for the three-peat.
Yep.
Joel,
baby.
how does this situation make you feel about overall security as a U.S. citizen? I mean, is this something that we sort of allowed to happen and it's such a common occurrence that we shouldn't be worried, or is it like big red alert time?
I think it's worthwhile noting that this stuff happens. Like, we do this all the time to other people too. I gave up on security a long time ago, and I've just accepted that there's stuff that happens that I don't know about, that I probably would be terrified to know about. The government's been hiding aliens for how many years? So, I mean, like, the fact that this is one balloon, they wanted us to see it. Here's my take. I think this isn't a security thing. I believe this was a PR move, that like the balloon came in and it was, to John's point, Biden's moment to really make a statement and shoot it down. And I think they missed their window over Montana. I think that's what happened. And then they were like, oh boy, if we shoot that down, it's going to ruin some houses, because Montana is so sparsely populated. There are counties in Montana that are considered uninhabited because less than 2 people live in the county. So I think they missed their window and had to wait to shoot it off, down over the Carolinas and have their big moment. But I think there's crazier stuff that happens that you and I have no clue about. And I just have to accept that as the way the world is. Otherwise, I'm going to be anxious and paranoid all of the time. The real Chinese spy balloon, as John said, is TikTok. So if you're worried about a balloon in the sky, delete your TikTok as well. And maybe while you're at it, all of your social media, put some tinfoil on your head and make sure that you get an Android phone, because you know they're not in cahoots with China, and Apple verifiably is so.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, my theory is that TikTok was invented so that they could launch more balloons and no one would look up. I just think that if everyone's glued to TikTok, then there's no shot of, the average person probably seeing a spy balloon in the sky. Father Victor, looking into the future, do we laugh about this later, or is this like the beginning of the end? Is this like, remember how that Chinese balloon started off World War III?
Yeah, I think this is something that we're going to laugh about for a bit. I mean, we'll forget about it. And then, much like your balloon boy comment, 10 years from now, I'll be like, do you remember that balloon that was shot down that everybody was freaking out about? And I mean, just, to go off some of the comments already about the spyware and everything. Everyone's so upset about, the Chinese are spying on us via balloons. But I mean, we're fine with being spied on all the time. Like, there's all these birds that are all over the place. Birds aren't real. They're government drones that are just watching us all the time. We're fine with that. I mean, give me a break.
It's amazing. We talked about this briefly before the show started, and I was like, oh, Father Victor must be part of the subreddit Birds Aren't Real. And he was like, the what now? So kudos to you for, just going deep on that one.
I just came to it on my own.
Yeah, no, it's apparently, it must be true if multiple people can come to it by their own means.
I just don't remember. Works. I don't remember seeing any birds during the government shutdown. Dead serious. I don't remember.
They were all disrupted by the 5G. They weren't able to fly because of the 5G.
I don't remember seeing any birds during that extended 9-month period where I was just in my house. I can't believe that there was no birds. I'm freaking out, man. Okay. Topic.
What's a shutdown? What
are you talking about? That didn't happen. State of awkward. Last night was the president's State of the Union, a political spectacle that becomes less dignified each year, and at this point is only good as fodder for failed television concepts about a sole survivor, which, by the way, was a middling show at best. Like, it's not worth watching. It's only 2 episodes, and Kiefer Sutherland barely punches anybody. I think during that time period, he punched more people in real life than he did on that television show. So just go ahead and skip that one. But despite that this it was largely regarded as one of the most confrontational State of the Unions in recent history, reminiscent of your high school student council elections, probably. Despite that, the most awkward moment came when Jill Biden kissed Douglas Emhoff, who happens to be Vice President Kamala Harris' husband, on the lips. The internet offered its usual balanced response as everybody freaked out. It went from really strange caught in 4K moment to conspiracy theory, which I'm sure we'll discuss now. So as we get into this here, Darnell, are people making too big of a deal here, or is it really a secret signal from the Illuminati?
I think people are making just the right amount of deal with this. Like, because when you think about it, It's freaking weird, man. Like I get that some families like do that, and like that's a thing that's cool, whatever. And I get that some cultures do that. Like in fact, if you're familiar with Full House, right? Jesse Kostopoulos kisses all the little kids on the lips. That is like a thing that happens, and that's weird too. But like I don't know, like I'm never gonna kiss my coworker's spouse on the lips. Like I'm probably not even gonna hug them. So like I just think it's a strange thing to have happen. And I watched the video back multiple times trying to understand it, like, oh, maybe they missed. Like maybe like he leaned the wrong direction, because that can happen. But like it was too intentional. Like he went in like puckered up. And I just don't understand what to make of it. So if this is a secret sign from the Illuminati, I don't know what they're trying to say.
I don't know what they're trying to say either. That's a weird signal to send, I think, if it's really an Illuminati secret handshake. Just kissing each other on the lips seems too on the nose, so to speak.
A kiss on the nose would have been less weird.
That would have been less weird. Yeah, that's possible. Joel, do you ever greet someone you're not romantically involved with by kissing them on the lips? And were you in Europe?
No, I don't even like to hug people. Like when I run into somebody who I know and I live in an awkward state of emotional response because people go to hug me and I'm like, no, I'm good. And then
you're
it's
friends
always
with Jonathan, right?
And like Jonathan and I am comfortable enough with John to hug him. But like for most people, and it's not and people, they take it the wrong way. They're like, what is wrong with you? You're so cold. No, I just don't want to hug you because like, I don't ever want to initiate a hug, because it's weird. And I don't want to put people in a weird spot with like, I don't want to hug this guy. Like he smells like an onion because I worked out at noon. And then the second thing is, if somebody's going to hug me, sometimes I don't want to hug you. Like I like my own space. I like my own place. And certainly if somebody ever went in to go for a kiss, and I knew, because it's coming. That's how I don't understand how this happened. Because that's happening. They get the look and the it's the whole thing. You turn your head, and if you can, you give a palm up to the chin, and you raise the roof on their nostrils. That's how you deal with that.
I think that's the way to do that for sure. Isn't there an episode of Parks and Rec where somebody leans in to kiss Ron Swanson and he like judo flips him out of reflex? Yeah. I feel like there's something in the zeitgeist about that, but I think that's probably the correct response. Father Victor, is this just a big mistake that they need to, just deal with and move forward, or are we getting ready for like a new reality television show, the, Real Housewives of DC, or as it was called previously, House of Cards?
I hope not. I hope it's not the beginning of another reality show. I didn't see this. This is news to me. I can't fathom two grown adults who are not like romantically involved kissing each other on the lips. Like I know I'm a priest and everything, but it just boggles my mind that
I'm a priest and everything.
two grown adults would like get into this situation, like other than maybe your Nana or something, like it just doesn't make any sense to me. So hopefully it was a mistake.
Hopefully it was a mistake. I think that's the general sentiment across the board.
See them both with some confessions, Father.
All right, Jonathan, this is an awkward truth, but I'm going to propose the possibility, and see what you think about this, that this is just a massive generational difference, because you know who does this? My grandmother. She is 96 years old, and for the last 20 years, when she greets or says goodbye to someone, she just like kisses them on the mouth, and that like in this like I'm a tiny grandmother way, but that is her play. That's what she does. When she gets too comfortable with the waiter, they're uncomfortable for sure. So what do you think here? Just a generational gap that needs to be removed as quickly as possible?
I do think that there is something to the generational gap part, but hear me out. And I don't mean to throw my parents under the bus here, and I know the internet is forever, but my parents sometimes have a couple of friends in the neighborhood that we grew up with that they would also kiss on the mouth, the husbands and the wives and vice versa. And I noticed as I got older that they only did that with the good looking ones. You know what I mean? Like they had other, other friends. I'm like, Dad, like she's kind of good looking. So I get it. Like, but It's kind of weird. It's a generational thing, but it doesn't make it any less weird. Okay, it's weird. I love you, mom and dad. Gosh, I hope you're not watching. I read the topic that when Joel sent it, and I was like, I saw that it said State of Awkward, and I knew it was going to be about the State of the Union. I was like, oh, do I have to watch that now? Because it's just like I'm over them. I haven't watched one in like years. And then I kept reading, and I was like, oh my gosh, two people just kissed like in front of everybody on the mouth. So I go to Twitter and I look at it. And I kept like Darnell, I just kept watching it. I was like, there's no way that it was like that. There's no way it was that like that was, dude. I didn't even know that the State of the Union was on last night. I didn't even know the Grammys were on Sunday, but I watched this kiss, and I'm telling you, man, they had more chemistry than the Breaking Bad. More chemistry than Jasmine and Aladdin, than Harry Potter and Hermione. It was unbelievable. Quit kissing people on the mouth that aren't your spouse. All that said, if this is some sort of game, this power move, and they're actually together, kiss longer.
Really send the message.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Just leave no doubt. That's yeah. I agree. Leave no doubt.
If later on that night you guys are all you two are hanging out, like you should have had a little more fun than you did.
Yeah, make your move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a quick correction there, though. Harry did not end up with Hermione. He ended up with Ginny. Ron's and Hermione.
I know, and that's
it's
it's not okay, Darnell.
Way to go, Darnell. Bonus point for you, my friend. All right. Well, this one's been fun. In the world of politics, this has been one of the largest faux pas, right? To like kind of, isn't there like categorically something that happens with this kind of stuff where everybody's just kind of like, I can't believe that guy hugged her that way. I can't believe he aggressively kissed his wife after the debate. It's like consistently an issue that maybe they should just be like, let's shake hands forever in the political sphere and just move on with life.
Mm-hmm. This is Biden's campaign.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to suggest.
And hugs.
And hugs. Jonathan's a hugger, so we'll leave the hugs in just for you, though, Jonathan. All right, topic number 3, darkness, my old friend. If you've got a big decision to make, like how to recover from accidentally kissing your coworker spouse at a big company get-together, locking yourself in a room until you figure it out probably isn't the best method. But lock yourself in a room in complete darkness for 4 days? Is that what this says, Joel?
Yeah, 4 days.
4 days?
4 days. Yeah, yep. As in 96
like most
hours.
of a week.
Yeah, like the better part of a week.
ISIS uses this as torture.
Yeah. Okay, how about this is how Packers QB Aaron Rodgers plans to determine if he will play, retire, or request a trade next season. Whether or not ayahuasca is involved remains to be seen. Joel, do you think this is legitimate or a publicity stunt on the part of someone who is getting to be well known for shenanigans? Or is this a sort of a step in a spiritual pilgrimage?
I think it's a step in a spiritual pilgrimage, and that's what makes Aaron Rodgers so great right now. Is I don't think any of this is a publicity stunt. I think you're watching this man go through some sort of spiritual journey in real time. And the thing is, this practice, like this is not a thing he made up. This is I think it's an Eastern practice that he's engaging in, and like 10,000 people, maybe more, have gone through it. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that no one has ever heard. And no one disturbs in these moments the sound of silence. And I think that that's important to note, that Aaron Rodgers is doing this. He's in part of a long tradition, and that I think is beautiful. So good on him. I hope he comes to find some truth, but at the end of the day, it's legit. I think he's just too authentic. I'm here for it.
Nice. It's something that I've never considered, and now that I've heard you describe it with very choice musical lyrics, I'm even more about it. Father Victor, Aaron Rodgers is a fairly well-known spiritual seeker, at one point Christian and then being tortured by a now infamous former evangelical pastor, now engaging in more Eastern practices. What advice would you give to someone like this who's clearly seeking?
I say with Joel, go for it. I mean, personally, submitting myself to darkness for 4 days doesn't sound particularly appealing. I think John and I share in common, well, I don't want to speak for you, John, but like I'm a scaredy cat. Like I don't like to watch scary movies. I'm the type of guy that watches Stranger Things in the daytime with the windows open and the lights on. So the idea of spending that much time, I'm for solitude, but in darkness, I don't know. But hey, man, Aaron, if that's your thing and that's going to help you, find clarity or, center yourself or whatever, go for it. Tell me about it afterwards, but don't make me do it.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's an honest assessment. Jonathan, under what circumstances would you do a darkness retreat?
I sent
what
Joel
would have
a
to be on the
text.
what would have to be on the table?
Yeah, I sent Joel a text yesterday after I read what Aaron Rodgers was going to do, and I said I literally might do this and live stream it. I what an idea!
But then it would be dark. You'd have to do it with night vision the whole
We'd
time.
have to have
I'd
night
have to
vision
do
on
it with
the
night
screen.
vision.
Yeah, like we'd have to figure that out, but for me it would be darkness, and I wouldn't be able to read the chat, and it would absolutely go viral. It'd be a great YouTube video. We're trying to get our YouTube numbers up. It would be crazy, and it would work. I know that would go viral. That's the kind of stuff Mr. Beast thinks of, and then he does it, and then it works. So am I going to be so bold? I don't know, because when I brought it up to my wife, she was like, I don't like how you think about virality now. And I was like, oh, it's every business. Like every restaurant wants the place to be packed. Our businesses and making sure we have people watching. I digress. I would do it for $1 million. I'm going to say something nice. I'm going to try to say something nice about Aaron Rodgers. If he wants to go on a 4-day retreat in darkness, all he has to do is live in the hearts of Packer fans for the next 5 years without him. But that wasn't the nice part. That wasn't the nice part.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
I am going to say something. I'm going to say something nice about him. He's trying. He is trying to take care of his mental health. He's making active steps, whether they're good ones or not, to try to be a better person and to take care of himself. And he's clearly searching. It shocks me that grown men will try 4-day darkness retreats and mushrooms before going to church. Like it shocks me. Like, dude, Aaron, you're made in the image and likeness. I have a message for you. You're made in the image and likeness of God, Aaron Rodgers. Okay, he has a plan and a purpose for your life, and it's not a secret. He's not trying to hide it from you. So get to know him a little bit. Find out what it is. You can do an hour adoration and have more clarity on whether or not you're supposed to play football for another year. I can personally connect you with monks to do a silent 48-hour retreat where you get to at least eat some good food and not be in darkness the whole time. My guy, if you're going to search, why don't you search something that's worked for thousands of years instead of all this new age stuff?
Yeah, and I think to your point, it actually highlights the danger of sin, because perhaps a guy who in the past would have gone to church in some capacity that now has been pushed away from it by circumstance is just obviously the the ill effects of situations like that just continue to tear people up. Darnell, we're gonna go a different direction with you on this one. Why do you think we care so much about the ins and outs of celebrities in circumstances like this? Like, does it say more about them or more about us?
I think it says more about us. And I think we care about this because inherently we're a communal people. We want to know what people around us are doing and why they're doing what they're doing, partially because we're nosy. But I also think that with celebrities in particular, they serve as a type of barometer for what our culture is doing. And so when we see Aaron Rodgers like doing something like this, we're just like, that's weird. But then also think about like how many people like him who don't have his platform, who don't have his reach, who don't have as many eyeballs on him, are going through the same kind of thing, or also searching, who may not have the resources to go on a 4-day in the dark retreat, but are still in that same boat. And so I think that's what's interesting about celebrity. They kind of speak to an everyman in all of us because they're so visible. But at the same time, I also think they're also part of the extremes just because they have access to so much and they can do anything they want to do. So I think that's why it's interesting. I think we're inherently communal and nosy and interested, and they just have the means to do something that we can only think about most of the time.
Right. I agree with you. I do think they're sort of a total barometer for what's going on. And what's interesting is everybody's fine with them until they cross the line a little bit, and then all of a sudden they're not cool anymore. like there's just like they're pushing. Oh, look at them breaking ground all the time, and then whoops, you jumped the shark, and we're gonna put you in the penalty box for some indiscriminate number of years.
Wait, so can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
How do you go to the bathroom?
There's a toilet, but it's in the dark.
So it's like in the room. This is like you're all like
I'm
within
sure
one room?
there's some kind of way that he.
No, he answered that question on the Pat McAfee show.
Did he
It's in
really?
the dark. He has to follow. He has to like touch the wall and get to the toilet and sit down. And there's a little slit in the wall where they will put the food in if he decides to eat.
If he decides to eat.
If he decides to eat.
That's interesting. I would just eat. I'm hungry.
That's yeah.
Again, we're fascinated by these aesthetic practices that have existed in Eastern and, quite frankly, Western religion for
That's forms of torture.
centuries. No, these have been forms of like purification, fasting, enlightenment. But we know that there's something about resetting our physical self that connects to our spiritual self. I think that's what's cool about it, is at least there's a hint of truth that our physical self and our spiritual self are tied, and they're not these separate things. Because sometimes I think we treat them like it, like, oh well, they're two different things. They're not, and I think that's what he's digging at here. They're connected.
Yeah, some element in order to like hit the reset and quiet his mind, and also like be away from all the other distractions, is clearly what he's chasing. So, okay, topic number 4. Good job, you guys. Hogwarts Heresy. This is a fun one, particularly because of what Jonathan played all day on stream today. So, Hogwarts Legacy, a prequel game that takes place in the Harry Potter universe, released this week amidst conflict within the gaming space. Boycotts have been set up around the game, and certain gaming groups are now flooding small streamers' chat rooms with trolling comments and accusations of bigotry for supporting an IP that was created by J.K. Rowling. The author has been accused of transphobic comments, which she denies. So a little bit of conflict kind of going around this release, and it just broke a whole bunch of records for being the top streamed game, smashes Twitch milestones even through this boycott that was set up. So I think we are starting with Father Victor on this one. What do you think is an appropriate, like, how many degrees of separation is appropriate when it comes to boycotting things? So this is kind of an interesting one, right? Because like J.K. Rowling wrote the book, and then a game company picks up the rights and develops it, and then an individual studio that's working for a larger company does this whole thing, and now they're picking on streamers who are playing the game live with their community being like, you bigot. Like, it just seems like it's really far away from the end goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how many degrees of separation are too many, but this definitely seems removed for me. I mean, for so many of us, we grew up with the stories, the books, the movies, and I mean, this is the difficulty we live in. We were talking about it with the last question, like celebrities, people that are in the public eye are beloved until they just push too far, or they have an opinion that's different than what's mainstream or something. And I don't know, but to boycott streamers, or to boycott this game, or to attack people that still have an interest in this world that was created, that just seems too far to me. But I don't know if there's like a set number of stages or anything. Can't we just like stop fighting? Can we just play video games?
Why can't everybody just be groovy with each other,
Yeah, just be Hufflepuff like John over there.
Yeah. If everyone was more Hufflepuff, I'm sure everything would work out. Jonathan, do you even think this is an effective strategy? Like, if the whole thing is based on some comments that the creator of this world made, do you think that this is even getting back to her? Like, is she aware of their operation?
I'm sure, because of social media and just arrogance of the normal human person, that she absolutely knows what's going on, that the video game's coming out. I'm sure. I don't think she cares. She lives in a castle. I mean, she's doing like an actual castle, and she's doing fine. I'll never understand what is happening with some of the movements right now in our country, specifically our country. I'll never understand. Today I was streaming, and I had strangers come into my TikTok stream, mostly some on Twitch, but mostly TikTok, and literally just call me names and make fun, and then tell me the ending of the game. Well, this guy dies in every single way, no matter what you choose, huh? And I'm like, dude, I don't care. I'm the guy who Googles the ending of Netflix shows when I first start watching. Like, I need to know who's going to die to emotionally prepare myself, okay? So you're not spoiling anything. And then I think to myself, like, okay, as a Catholic who wants other people to be Catholic, I'm not going to go in other people's streams who are doing things that aren't Catholic and be like, pagan! pagan, but like what? That's not effective. It absolutely blows my mind that this is happening. The radical left continues to just consume itself, and it's very weird. J.K. Rowling has been a patroness for, like, I did that. That was a Harry Potter word, I think. For the left for years. She's come out and made comments that I think are just stupid to make about characters and what their sexual orientation is decades later, after the when there was no sign in the book that was true. And they're turning on her, because what happens is and by the way, when I say left, I mean radical. I'm not, if I talk about the radical right or the radical left, I'm talking about the radical. It's crazy. You're on their team until you don't go far enough, and if you don't, they'll throw you right under the bus. And it makes no sense to me. So this whole, like, I hate you and you probably hate me because you're playing a wizard game, be canceled, it's unhinged. And the irony that most of the canceling is happening on Twitter, a platform now run by Elon, who probably has more radical views on these issues than J.K. Rowling. The irony is just it's hilarious. It's unbelievable. You're using Twitter, which is probably worse than what J.K. is doing, in your opinion, to troll people from playing a video game that J.K. has nothing to do with.
Yeah.
So I'm going to end mine with a quote from Rick Warren, one of my favorite quotes of all time. Our culture has accepted two huge lies. The first is that if you disagree with someone's lifestyle, you must fear or hate them. The second is that to love someone means you agree with everything they believe or do. Both are nonsense. You don't have to compromise convictions to be compassionate.
Good stuff. Well summarized. Darnell, to a certain level, don't you think that all consumers are kind of guilty of like information bias at this point? Like at this level, it's almost impossible to kind of separate yourself in some way from like businesses or entertainment, where like you have to agree with everything that an organization or a business is doing in order to like support them financially. Like, it feels like that's nearly impossible at this point, unless you're removing yourself from society and living on, a compound.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, if you buy anything, I understand like doing like your due diligence to doing research on something when you're trying to buy something. But if you were to do that for every single thing you purchased, every single time you purchased it, for every part of town you went into, for every utility or every service, and like, you would never have time to do anything else. And
True.
like, what good would that do anybody, right? And so, like, I understand if you have like these particular things that you're passionate about, like doing your due diligence and researching and finding maybe a couple of brands that you do support. And I think that's much more effective than trying to figure out like who you want to support as opposed to who you want to like not support or cancel. Then you can go out of your way to go do something like, hey, I want to buy X thing from this company because I support what they're doing, and I know that all this money is going to go to Catholic schools, or it's going to go to feeding the homeless or whatever, as opposed to like, I'm not going to work with them because they don't believe what I believe. It's just not productive, I don't think. And so like, I just think you got to be selective in what you're choosing to put your time in. And I think we're called for much more than discerning what products to buy or what services to use. Like, our vocations are, husband and wives, fathers and mothers, priests, clergy, and like, those are the things that we're called to do, and like, we need to be present to do those. These things are just distractions.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Joel, as we kind of like get into this topic in terms of, which inevitably goes towards like cancellation in some regard, does the media have a responsibility or play a role in like giving too much airtime to like the fringe when it comes to stories like this, of being like, well, 12 people are upset about this thing, so we're now gonna cover it like it's the majority of the people in, the United States or across the world. It gets the same amount of, of sort of attention.
Yeah. I think that's something we have to accept, though, right? Is the media, that's how they make money.
Right.
How do news shows pay the bills? Advertising. And you can't sell to advertisers if you don't have the metrics of people watching. And outrage is just always going to work. And in situations like this, it works on both ends, really. Because if you see something, and even as we're talking about it, half of the people are going to be like, yes, that is a righteous cause and that is a just cause. And I think people even get into that because we don't have any real battles to fight anymore. Most of us live comfortable, middle to, if we're being honest, upper class lives. And even those of us who are lower middle class, comparatively to the rest of the world, things are pretty good. And so in the absence of strife, we need to create it externally to ourselves. And that's not to say that there aren't real problems and real issues we need to speak into. There certainly are. But for some of these things, going into people's streams and trolling them or being like, I'm going to shut it down because that's how I'm going to work it out, that's just a dumb way to go about things. But it's indicative of a larger, really psychological pandemic we have where there is not enough struggle in our lives. So we're manufacturing it, and we're manufacturing it to get away from real problems that we need to deal with internally. That's the flip side, is we don't have external strife to direct our outbursts, and internally we're wrestling with things that we want to ignore, we don't want to deal with. All of those things then create this soup that the media plays into to say, we'll give half of the audience, our audience, because every news group has an audience, we're going to give them what they want. They're going to love it and consume it. And the other half is going to hate it. And they're going to share it with their commentary. They're going to reference it. And that's going to boost our views. Outrage is what's on the menu. And all of us feed into it. And all of us buy into it. And I think the best thing that we could do, I'm all for the free market. So if consumers are like, we don't want it anymore, don't buy it, don't watch it, don't listen to it. But instead, we're all engaging in it, and it's actually having the opposite effect. If you really want to cancel something, ignore it. And just like that bully on the playground, eventually it'll go away, or it will steal your lunch and give you a swirly. Yeah. One of the two.
Yeah. And it almost feels like we have a culture that is built on, conflict. Like everything is like, it's either the best or the worst. There's no middle ground. And so I remember this coming up with, film across, over a number of years where people are like, oh, the new Star Wars movies are terrible. And I was like, they're not terrible enough for you to skip it. Like, cause you still want to see it so you can talk about how terrible it was. And so there's almost like this disease of needing to consume even the stuff that you disagree with so that you can then be informed enough to say how much you hate it. Like, it seems like a really dangerous place to be when it comes to these types of this type of media. Okay, here we go. Topic number 5. We're clipping right along here. Unholy-Moley. This past week was the 2023 Grammys, an unusual award show where celebrities compete to see who can wear, say, or do the most ridiculous things. We should be giving points in that event as well. This year was filled with many competitors, including Madonna, who was nearly unrecognizable and criticized ageism, Harry Styles, who channeled a clowncore overall look, and Ben Affleck, who looked like he would have rather been in his own coffin at a funeral rather than sitting in that award show. But the big winner of the night was Sam Smith, who in a desperate attempt to remain relevant put on a satanic-inspired performance of his hit song Unholy. Surprising nobody, Christians and conservatives were outraged while a bunch of people called it quote-unquote art. We are back to Jonathan, I believe, on this one.
Oh, good.
And at what point does the satanic worship trope become mundane and no longer edgy? Are we there yet? Or is it always going to be something where an ultra-conservative group of people is going to be like, I'm offended? Similar to what we just talked about.
We're past it. We're way past it. And here, this is the thing that I think I've learned. Now, hold on. I've lived, as I said a little earlier, I've lived under a rock, weirdly, even though like I'm online all the time, because I'm working a lot. And when I'm not working, I don't want to be on my phone checking what's going on. And so like I said, I didn't know the Grammys were on Sunday. I didn't know the speech from the president was last night, the State of the Union. And thank God. But I feel like every year it becomes easier to dodge the Grammys in any award show because they're just becoming irrelevant. And honestly, every year they feel closer and closer to the Hunger Games. With each passing year, it's just the elites that gather together while the peasants watch, or mostly don't watch, at home. And I'm not even offended by it anymore. Like I saw it, I watched 30 seconds of it, and I was like, who cares? There's no one in the world who's watching that and is thinking to themselves, yeah. This is where
screw
my
at.
Religion. Yeah. I'm gonna join Satan in the left. Yeah. It's people. The only people who enjoy that show are people who have to say they enjoy it. Otherwise, they'll get canceled. Everyone else, like, they're just like, look at them at it again. Like, it's just so lame. and it's uninteresting, and I don't care. And people are weird. But and here's the thing: of course, some Christians and some conservatives are going to get upset because they get paid to. They get paid for the content. If Matt Walsh doesn't rage about it and say, "Look at how bad the world is," then he's not going to get paid.
He's not doing his job
from Daily Wire. And so I get it, like that's going to happen. But I'm telling you, I do believe that for the most part, most human beings in America are seeing this kind of stuff. They're seeing the the Harry Potter boycotting. They're seeing the Satan dance, and they're seeing the halftime shows at the Super Bowl, and they're just kind of rolling their eyes. And they're like, it's unfortunate that I had to cover my kid's eyes for 10 minutes, but life goes on.
Yeah, I would agree with you, especially on the Super Bowl thing. Darnell, this is kind of an interesting one, but does this feel like a dumb thing for Christians to be upset about? Like, I could see them being upset about it if it was the Christian Music Awards and this happened. Like, that would make sense for this level. I cannot understand for the life of me why this group of people is like, this wasn't expected on some level. Like, I can't figure out how it was a surprise based on the direction that it has been going for a number of years. And again, like we just talked about, like, couldn't they just have not watched it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's dumb for people to be upset about this. And I think the part of the reason why I think it's dumb is that I don't think that we should watch it and be like, see, people are evil. I think we should watch it and we should be concerned, and we should watch it and we should reflect on ourselves and what we've been doing. I think of Sam Smith and I think of this song and I wonder what prompted him to make this. What was he feeling? What was he going through? Why does he feel this way? And I'm sure it stems from some sort of hurt. I'm sure it stems from somebody back in the day telling him he was a terrible person for being the way he was, that God didn't love him because of this. And that is problematic. And I think there's a greater movement, a greater narrative of people who are, quote unquote, embracing their villainy, right? So this idea that if you say I am a terrible person, if you say I am immoral, if you say all these things, and this is something I feel I can't change about myself, I'm just going to own it. And so, like, we need to think about how our words are affecting people like that, right? And so, like, I don't condone him to say, like, devil worshiping. I don't think he's a devil worshiper. But how do we welcome people who are different from us, people who are struggling into our church? What does that require of me? What does that require of our community? And like until we're able to do that, this stuff is going to keep happening because you know what? It gets a rise out of us. They're poking at us. They're poking at the people who hurt them. And so for me, like this is a wake-up call of like, hey, we need to think different, we need to be different, and we need to be better for him, for his salvation. So that's what I think about that.
Darnell always taking the lesson away. That's, I mean, just, always the, well, what does this mean for you? And I appreciate that about you, Darnell. Joel, as we get into this, is this just celebrities being celebrities, or is it something more insidious, like a distraction that is intentionally over the top so that a group of people in Hollywood or entertainment can be like, look over here, look over here, look over here, and hopefully not pay attention to, Epstein Island 2 that's happening in, some other, corner of their industry?
You'll forgive me because I don't have my tin hat to put on, but that Chinese spy balloon was shot down, and so I think I'm safe for at least for right now. I do. And here's the thing: I know that we can all say, "Oh, like it's whatever," and I do think that there's a level of we have to just not care about some of these things and not make them a big deal, because as we make them a bigger deal, they blow up. And yes, it absolutely is a group of people poking at Christians, because I'll tell you what's not happening. There is not a performance mocking any relevant or important Muslim leader. There's not.
Right.
There is no performance that is mocking aspects of Judaism. There's no performance that is mocking Buddha. Now, do those things exist on the fringes? Sure. But do we give them a platform? No, because it's fun to poke Christians, because Christians have this great response. And here's where I would say we have to be aware in two fronts. One is societally and what this does culturally, because the play is this, and it's really quite ingenious. Boom. We do something ridiculous that people, it's dumb. It's a dumb thing. Sam Smith looked dumb. The performance was dumb. It was uninspired. It was just it was like a 8th grade boy that's like, how can I make my Christian parents mad? Like, that's what it was. But then what happens is everybody gets mad. And then that's when the real piece comes, which I think people of faith need to be aware of, because then the swing is, look at these stupid Christians all bent out of shape about something so stupid. Did you see he's got a top hat with horns on it? There are better Satan costumes on Halloween. Can you believe this? And then people are like, yeah, those Christians are kind of overreactive and kind of dumb and kind of hypocrites too. And that's where I think, to Darnell's point, we have to be careful, because the overreaction, then it's exactly playing into what we want. And the second thing is this, and to just bring it back to like others, if I believe Satan is real, and some people are like, oh, that's whatever. And I don't go crazy about that. But like, if Satan is real, let's just even go there. If Satan is real and you're engaging in things like it's fun and spiritual realities of good and evil are real, that's dangerous. Even if it's just goofing around. Yep. Because it's such a public platform. Like, and so take that for what it's worth. But I think the bigger play is they swing the pendulum this way. And the final thing I'll say is the next time they'll swing it farther. And we'll be like, oh my gosh. Like, because it's the ratchet effect.
Yeah.
20 years ago, Sam Smith would have been canceled by the religious right. And now we're like, what a goofy, stupid thing. So what's the next thing? That's what I'm curious about.
Can we throw him a bone and say he was prettier than Madonna?
What happened to Madonna?
Dude, it's just proof that just let yourself age. My mom is beautiful. Just let yourself age.
Yeah, there is that is another element, especially in Hollywood, that has kind of permeated part of our society, where it is like not acceptable to become older. I'm sure that'll be another topic that we can discuss at a future time. But first, we have to get to Father Victor on this one. At what point do these award shows need to be classified for mature audiences only? Like, they're clearly headed that direction. Should they just be like, we're going to do the next one on HBO because it's going to have an R rating, and this, and we might as well just go all out. If we're going to do it, let's stop flirting. Let's stop dipping our toe in the water and trying to justify that it's consumable for the masses. This is, this is now rated TV 18 plus.
I mean, I didn't watch the performance. Like Blevins was saying, I'm kind of busy lately. I was aware that something happened because people were upset, but like, I looked at a picture. The picture looked really goofy, like Joel said. So like a really crappy costume that, you could get much better at Walmart around Halloween time. So I don't know if the performance itself was something that was, mature audiences only or anything like that. I just think like, just stop doing award shows. Other than the Golden Globes, they're all boring, and they're all, like just let celebrities like drink and hang out and let us watch them, in our weird voyeuristic desires. And like, that's what's so great about the Golden Globes, is they're all just like trashed by the end of it, and they're doing dumb things. And I don't know, should it be for mature audiences only? I don't know, just stop giving celebrities any power. Stop watching these things. And I find it fascinating. I know this has already been touched on a little bit, but I find it fascinating that, and I don't think it's malicious. I think there's a curiosity behind it, but it's the way that Christian symbols are used so often in Hollywood, whether it's to like make some, I don't know, like they try to get our vestments right, or you'll see like a cross or a crucifix in the background, or this like whole thing with dressing up like the devil, like it's so fascinating, the obsession, even with the rejection, there's still like an obsession with this. And I think it's because at some level we recognize truth, and we recognize that, there's something maybe that's missing, or there's something like they're onto something. And so in the face of that, maybe in some immaturity, there's some fear and some rejection, and it ends up kind of mocking it. But I think it's a mocking that's sort of like, I don't know. I think there's something behind that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. It's almost as though the interest of it still existing says more than the actual way that it's portrayed. It clearly keeps showing up, so there must be something there that kind of goes beyond the superficial.
Guys, tell me we have time for this last one. Short takes.
Yeah,
this is a great one.
We can pull it off, right? Real quick. All right, so this last one, we're going super fast. The big game this week, some large-scale sporting event is happening. I can't remember what it's called. No one cares about it. It doesn't create controversy or break up families or anything. But to close our show tonight, we're going to make some bold 30-second predictions on anything about the game except the final score and the winner. So each of you is going to have 30 seconds to make a prediction about the Super Bowl, but your prediction cannot have anything to do with the game itself. And if you do something incredible, like predict like a celebrity getting caught falling down the stairs, we will assume that you can see the future and then ask you for stock tips. Sorry, Father Victor, go ahead.
Oh, by the big game, do you mean Liverpool versus Everton, the Merseyside?
That's what
Derby?
we're referring
Wow.
to. Yep. So if you can
You're
pull
gonna get
that,
some points in the chat for that one,
yep,
buddy.
Yep. Soccer fans are out there. So we're just going to go around the Halo again. We're going to start with John at the top. He is going to have 30 seconds to rattle off whatever his predictions about the game may be. And Joel, you did mention something here to include predictions about players unrelated to like the officiating or the controversy or some of that kind of stuff. Is that the general
in
gist?
general predictions? Yeah, crazy stuff, right, Joel? Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I
cool.
was
Here
very
we go.
close. Ready?
Fire.
I was very close, and I have time. I can stall. I was very close to picking something ridiculous, like the head coach and a weird kissing thing, which happens. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick exchanged some tongue back in the day. I don't know. Here's the deal. Here's my prediction. And I want to say something nice real quick first. Jackson Mahomes has done a good job of not being an idiot this year. He's faded back into the silence, which is good. He's not embarrassing his family anymore. I predict that Jackson Mahomes will be shown on screen 4 times, and he'll be dancing at least 2 of those times.
What a great
That was
prediction.
close. I thought legitimately he was going to run out of time. I
You
was
like that, Joel.
I thought
You
he
like
was
that.
too. I was
like, he played it up like he's going to.
And I was gonna
4
Peg
times,
one.
run out of
and he'll
time.
be dancing 2 of those times filming a TikTok. It's going to be
Time's up. Your
content
time's
gold.
up. Your time's up.
All right. So Darnell, same thing. You got 30 seconds. Whatever you want is fair game. Commercials, commentary, halftime show, pregame, whatever. Like something. What do you think? Here we go.
All right, so my prediction is that the halftime show is going to leave everybody disappointed. And that is because it is Rihanna, who hasn't produced an album since 2016. In 2016, I don't know if you remember who the halftime show was. It was Coldplay, it was Beyonce, and it was Bruno Mars. What singular person listens to all 3 of those groups? And so I have to wonder, what is Rihanna going to do? Who's she going to bring out? And how is she going to be relevant? Because quite frankly, Umbrella is old. And what does she have now?
Well
Chris
done.
Stapleton will save the day, Darnell. It's
Well done, Darnell. All right, Joel Stepanek, it is on to you. Your 30 seconds begin now.
There will be 2 commercials during the Super Bowl that are way too serious for the Super Bowl. Like, remember that insurance commercial a couple years ago where there was a TV and the kid was dead under the TV? There's going to be 2 commercials like that where you stop and put down your drink and you look at your friends and you contemplate your entire life. You wonder if you're making anything that matters. You're going to question your creativity. You're going to question your marriage. That's how serious these 2 commercials are going to be. They're going to make you stop, shut off the game, go kiss your loved ones, and bolt your freaking TV to the wall.
Good job.
This is the best show on Twitch.
Well done. Dude, hands down. It's not particularly close. All right, Father Victor, 30 seconds here. Anything about the Super Bowl that you care to predict? Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm so out of touch with football, no jokes, that I scheduled a World Marriage Day dinner with all the couples that got married at my parish Sunday evening. And people RSVP'd, and I think they're going to cancel at the last minute. But I didn't know that the Super Bowl was this weekend until a couple days ago. So my prediction, my bold prediction, knowing nothing about football or caring nothing about football, is that the coin toss will be heads.
I got money on that, Father. Money on that.
Father Victor scheduled a marriage meeting with all the dorks at his parish.
Dude, seriously, I would be so mad. Father, I'd be like, listen, I can't be there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think the
You know what
difference
that group
is
of people is going to talk about?
I think the
That
difference is
gather
that
together?
John
The
is
Grammys.
The State of the Union.
You're going to be like, did you see the State of the Union?
That's a good point. Any of these other things above the Super Bowl? Did you guys play Hogwarts Legacy yet? It's amazing. Okay, so our winner
I
for
won
tonight,
again?
Jonathan Blevins. Well done this evening. I
Starting to
won
feel rigged.
again.
I think if we go back and check the game film, you won.
Yeah.
But at one point, you got a point while I was speaking.
Yeah,
errantly.
He did. And he got.
I saw it and it almost threw me off. But you know what?
Nope. He got a point when he said that Sam Mendes looks better than Madonna. What happened? So that was the point that pushed him over the top. And it's clearly rigged, but John still gets 30 seconds to talk about anything he would like at the end of the show that is produced and executed by him and his company. We don't do this often enough, really. John, 30 seconds, take it away.
First and foremost, I would like to thank all of our guests, Father Victor, Darnell, and Joel, just unbelievable people. You did a great job. Second, third, and fourth most, I'd like to bring up that tonight, why not stick around and hang out in the Bearded Blevins stream? Why not continue to watch me play Harry Potter while I sip on some butterbeer IRL? I'm awake. I took a nap. My whole family is sick. They're all asleep. I am going to restart the stream and play some more Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy tonight. Join me.
Sounds good. Excellent use of your 30 seconds. All right, everybody. This was a great episode of Around the Halo. We appreciate you for joining us. And I do know that a lot of you dropped, bits and subs in the chat. It's obviously not active while we're recording the show, but we still do appreciate you. And thank you very much. Chat was popping off tonight, which was super fun. And this was a great episode. So I hope everybody has a good Super Bowl Sunday if you're into that kind of thing. And we will see you next week for Pardon the Intercession. And thanks again to our guests, Darnell and Father Victor, for your first time on the show. And Joel, we certainly appreciate you and all of your insight in helping put shows together. So much appreciated. You guys stick around, and John will be back on in a couple minutes.